JL Cauvin is my name. It's short for Jean-Louis. I got the name from my Haitian dad. I got my Italian-looking skin, I guess, from my Irish mom. Let's see, grew up in the Bronx. Technically the Bronx for only like 6 years, like a real Bronx neighborhood, you know, with a subway and Latin people committing crimes. But then we moved to Riverdale, which is technically in the Bronx, but is the sort of Jewish white flight haven, you know. So it's much more calm there. Let's see, I've insulted 2 groups so far, so that's good. Towards the end of college, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I was thinking about teaching, but I thought to myself, I went to Williams College, which is a pretty prestigious school, and I thought, well, if I go to teach, won't that be sort of a waste of my prestigious degree? Maybe I can find a way to make way more money. So I went to law school at Georgetown, which was a top 3 worst decision of my life. And while there, I was sort of struggling, just barely getting by. And about halfway through, I was just extremely depressed in law school, and I stumbled upon a comedy show at a bar near my apartment. And I went in, and it was a bunch of no-name comics at the time, but it was a really good show. And I said, hey, maybe I can give that a try. I'll look into some open mics or something, because I'd always been sort of funny, but had no idea whether I could be any good at stand-up, which obviously I'm not. Yeah, no, and it was weird because my grades started to improve in law school, possibly because I didn't give a shit anymore. So there was no stress, and I would spend half my time in class writing jokes for that night's open mic. So a lesson to those kids going to law school: don't give a shit, and it might actually do you well. A lot of the rooms I was doing in D.C. were sort of what they call urban rooms in comedy, which is because comedy clubs don't like to say the word black. So they were a lot of black people, a lot of Def Jam comedy kind of atmosphere to some of the rooms I was doing. So I probably said motherfucker in my early sets more than I do now. But still a good experience, and it was sort of instantly hooked me. Like, not early on. I just kind of was always a comedy fan. I loved Chris Rock, but I never thought, oh, that could be me. Like, I could do that. I was just like, he's awesome at what he does. Good for him. I remember actually one night, a year or 2 before I started doing comedy, I went to see Bill Bellamy at the DC Improv with my brother, and didn't think he was that good. But the guy who was right before him, the feature act, who's nobody super famous, but his name's T-Rex. He blew me away, and to this day, that's what I still think about in comedy, how it's like a lot of people do that. They go to the name, they gravitate towards a famous name, but then half the time, the dudes who aren't famous are the best ones. And I'm saying that because I'm not famous, and it's a self-serving statement. It's my way of saying I'm better than a lot of people who are famous. Yeah, no, I get that question a lot. It used to always just be basketball because I used to be more fit and trim. Now, because I'm packing on pounds, because I like cookies and have a lot of spare time. Now it's like, do you play football? And soon, in like 5 years, people will be asking me, are you going to die of a heart attack? But yeah, no, I get that question all the time. And so it's naturally, I find myself disappointing strangers often because they want me to be some sort of famous athlete so they can tell their friends. And then when I'm like, nope, just riding the bus, no one famous here, it's like I've let them down. It's like they're my parents. I'd rather be The Rock, because the jury's still out on whether he's talented. But I think Adam Sandler's streak of recent movies has given the answer to everybody on that one. And who wouldn't rather be 6'5", jacked, or 5'9" and chubby? Like, although I've managed to combine the two in that way as well. I'm 6'7" and getting chubby. Greg Giraldo. That's it. I mean, and I actually just worked with Patrice O'Neal, who I'd always seen, and that's one of the great things about seeing somebody at a club, is I've seen him on TV several times, and I'm like, oh, he's kind of funny. but in his own element where he just says what he wants for an hour and 15 minutes. Patrice O'Neal like blew me away a couple weeks ago. That was real fun. But Greg Giraldo is that combination of like a smart comedian who's at the same time accessible, has opinions. He's not just saying stuff to make people giggle. You know, he's not a clown. He actually has opinions, and they're sometimes strong, but yet he just kills all the time. And he's a former lawyer, so, you know, obviously he's my inspiration. Working out is what I'm supposed to say, and that used to be one of my hobbies, and then I got a PlayStation 3, and that became sort of hobby number one, which is disgusting, not only because I'm a 31-year-old man playing video games, but it really is addictive. I don't know, working out, reading, and then writing. Like, I do a lot of writing, different types of writing, so, you know, I try to treat comedy as a full-time job, which can be difficult because you're not in an office, nobody's telling you to do stuff, so you have to be sort of self-motivated, which I'm just learning how to be. But I've been heckled once, and it was like 5 years ago, and some guy just shouted out, "That's a real tall bitch up there." I didn't know what to say because my inclination was to yell, "Fuck you, motherfucker," and then choke him with the mic cord, which would have ruined the show. So I just sort of said, good one, sir, and moved on with my jokes. And to this day, it burns me a little bit. So if that guy ever shows up to another show, I'm not sure he'll be so lucky.